Welcome everyone, Subaloobs, back here again, doing a follow-up video to my original i7 air-cooled Cinebench test run. Just wanted to do another follow-up to talk about undervolting and maybe taming some of the temperatures and potentially boosting some of the performance. I just did another stock, didn't touch anything test run just to make sure that my values from the last video are consistent. Doing another 10-minute test bench. We got 30,281 points. So now we're going to go through undervolting and seeing if we can get these temperatures down and potentially boosting our clocks and get a better score. So let's open up Intel Extreme Tuning Utility, drag this over for you. And the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to bump this core voltage offset down a bit. And we're going to, let's just do 0.05 volts. Alright, we're going to apply that. And what I'm going to do, I am going to essentially stop recording, run the test bench, come back, see what we get. With the totally stock last run, we were pulling 238.91 watts with a max temperature, package temperature of 95 degrees Celsius. Alright, so we have undervolted by 0.05 volts, and I am actually going to bump this turbo boost time window all the way up. Okay, and so with these settings in, not touching the cores, they are totally stock. Let us start this bench again. Alright, so now we are back after running our 10-minute test bench with an offset, a core voltage offset of negative 0.05 volts. And it looks like we gained a bump in performance, albeit a small one. Here's the big news. We dropped our temperature, our max temperature, by 8 degrees Celsius, from 95 degrees all the way down to 87 degrees Celsius. So just that small undervolt dropped our power consumption by about 27 watts, and it decreased our temperature by a lot. So that is all fantastic. However, let's see if we can go a little bit further, and let's drop this down by another 0.10. So now we're at a negative 0.06 volts for offset, and let's actually bump up our core clock. Let's see if we can have some fun and put this up to 55, so 5.5 gigahertz, and let's do an all core overclock of about 200 megahertz. Let's see what we can do with that. All right, so I'm gonna run this and I will be back in just a second. So it looks like we did have a crash within Cinebench. I thought it was a one-off. I did try and run it again, and we did get another crash. So let's take a look at this bug report. Because I have never had Cinebench crash before, I am not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be looking at here. So I'm going to chalk this up to too high of an overclock. So we know it's not stable. Let's go back to our Intel Extreme Tuning Utility. And actually what I'll do is I'll just put this back at a 0.5. Maybe because of the core clock, it's just not getting enough voltage. So let's go ahead and just apply that. And I will restart this and be right back. Well, this is unfortunate. It looks like we hit another crash about 5 minutes in. Same bug report. So now that we are at a stable voltage, we know 0.05 is a stable voltage. It looks like we're going to have to bump down our core clock, and I'm only going to do it by 100 megahertz. So now we're at a P core overclock of 5.4 gigahertz and an E core overclock of 4.3 gigahertz. And we will run this one more time and I'll be back when that's done. Okay, and we are back after running our most recent Cinebench test with this mild overclock and mild undervolt. We got a score of 30,909 while also staying at the 95 degrees Celsius mark. That's fantastic. We've essentially increased performance while staying at the exact same temperature. Okay, so after this test of 30,909 points with a 95 degrees Celsius max package temperature, we pulled a max of 236 watts. So that's what it comes down to. You can simply just do a mild undervolt and gain 30 or 40 points. You're actually increasing performance slightly. Or you can take that undervolt, bump up your core clocks, and get a lot more performance for essentially the same amount of temperature performance. Again, this is with the Noctua NH-D15 for the air cooler and the Fractal Torrent as the case, with those big 180 millimeter fans really pushing a lot of air through the case and making sure everything is cool. Just to note that the testing environment was around 19 to 20 degrees Celsius for the ambient temperature. And yeah, so we saw that a 5.5 gigahertz and 4.4 gigahertz overclock was not stable. I'm gonna do a little bit of additional testing and just see what I can find. Maybe bumping this down to negative 0.6 with this overclock to make sure, hey, maybe we can get a little bit more temperature and performance and see where I would like to have my computer at. I will be back. Alright, so just to reiterate, this is a undervolt overclock. P cores are at 5.4 gigahertz and E cores are at 4.3 gigahertz with a negative 0.06 voltage offset. Okay, and so with this result, we actually have had our best result yet with a score of 30,930, and we never went over 93 degrees Celsius. This might be the best one yet. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm actually going to try again with maybe 5.5 gigahertz on the P cores or 4.4 on the E cores. I'm going to try bumping these up as much as I can, see if we can get to that 31,000 mark. Stay tuned. This is actually a bit of a surprise. We got 31,343 points. Woo! All right, so let's break it down a little bit. We did actually breach this 95 degrees Celsius wall that we were hitting in pretty much all the other tests because we did pull more watts. We pulled 245 watts. The P cores maxed at 97 degrees Celsius. However, I pretty much saw it always around 95, and the package was 96. How I got this was a undervolt of negative 0.04 volts, an all core 55 on the P core, and 44 on the E cores. So this is really all based on your use case. Do you want better thermals or do you want better performance? As it stands right now, we've gained over 1,000 points on Cinebench R23 within roughly the same thermal window. We can run these things up to 105 degrees Celsius before it really starts clocking back, trying to prevent itself from burning up. So we are still in that window of, yeah, you can run it like this. It may not be, what we want to see, but this is definitely a viable use case. And again, this is Cinebench. This is pushing the CPU way past its normal use case scenarios. So, would I run it like this? Yes, if I'm in a very CPU dependent workload, I would run this undervolt overclock. Who knows? Maybe I will keep it at this. However, we got this high of a score with a Noctua air cooler. essentially on the package temp we gained 1 degree and just about 1,000 more points. That's crazy. Okay, alright, let me run this once more with just a straight up undervolt. See what kind of temperatures we can get. Alright, so this is a really good result. We got a score of 30,694, and our max temperature on our package and our P-cores was only 89 degrees Celsius. This is a 6 degree improvement over stock, as well as it's about 500 points more than my most recent stock run. So how I got this in the XTU is I did a negative 0.075 core voltage offset with a mild overclock of 5.4 gigahertz on the performance cores, and I left the efficiency cores at stock. This is a pretty good result and something that I think I'm going to consider best case scenario. I don't want to mess with it anymore. I like this result with an air cooler not breaching 90 degrees Celsius and a much better score than stock. We only pulled 220 watts. I think this is conclusive that you should definitely undervolt. Again, using Intel Extreme Tuning Utility, nothing is being written permanently, so should something go wrong, your computer crashes, or the settings that you put in are not stable, should that happen, you need to restart. The changes that you made will be reverted back to what they were when they were stable. So I think this is a good place to stop it, and I hope this helps. So again, if you just want to take the final results, negative 0.075 offset, 5.4 gigahertz on the P cores, and I left the E cores stock. Okay, well, if you thought this was helpful, be sure to give it a like, subscribes. Those really help me and let me know how I'm doing. And yeah, do whatever you do. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace.